Hey there guys and gals, this is Chris with Ignited by Nature and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at the Razor HD 13 to 39 by 56 spotting scope. These are lightweight, compact scopes that won't break the little piggy bank. However, with that lower price point, there are some things that you want to consider. In this video, we'll break down where these optics shine and where they fall short. Let's dive into it. First off, let's use my handy dandy computer to take a closer look at the Razor HD 13 to 39 by 56 spotting scope. Okay, so I have the Razor HD 13 to 39 by 56 angled spotting scope pulled up here on the Vortex Optics website. You can see that at MSRP's for $1,449.99, which is not the actual price. If you pull up Sportsman's here, you'll see that it sells for around $1,000, $999.99. And then if you pull up handy dandy Amazon over here, I don't know why I keep saying handy dandy. It's like I got some Blues Clues in my head or something. But the handy dandy Amazon website is showing me that the Vortex Razor HD angled is $853.16, and then the straight spotting scope is $843.63. So even cheaper than Sportsman's and cheaper than the price on their website. So, moving back to their website, we look at some of the key specs. We'll pull those up, and you can see, as I mentioned earlier, this has a magnification range of 13 to 39 power, and then it's got a 56 millimeter objective, so it competes with the Kowa and also the Swarovski Optic ATC or STC. And then you also see that there's an eye relief of 15 millimeters to 17.8 millimeters. So it's got pretty good eye relief. It's going to be comfortable for most users. And then it's got an angular field of view of 3.2 degrees to 1.7 degrees. And that's going to change, obviously, because as you adjust your magnification, it's going to change that angle or the angular field of view from 3.2 degrees down to 1.7. Also, it has a close focusing distance of 9.2 feet. So basically 3 meters or 9 feet is the closest focusing distance. And that really, I feel like, matters more for people like birders, so people that are trying to get like close up to animals and trees and stuff like that. For a hunter, you're typically going to be further out. You're not going to be using a spotting scope to look at something really close. But in this example, you'll see that I'm close up to my chickens. I'm probably like 15, 20 feet away, but you can see the level of detail you get at a close distance. Then, if you look at the linear field of view, you'll see that you have 168 feet and 89 feet at 1,000 yards. So once again, as you zoom in, that field of view is going to get smaller. So at 39 power, you have 89 feet, and then all the way down at 13 power, you have 168 field of view. So a pretty wide field of view overall. And then the length of the angled spotting scope is 10.4 inches, and then the length of the straight is 11.1 inches. So you're saving almost an inch there with the angled, but I find that the straight spotting scope, although a little bit longer, fits in the pack a lot better. And then lastly, if we take a look at the weight here, it says 28.6 ounces. However, when I actually weighed these out, the angled spotting scope weighed 31 ounces and the straight spotting scope weighed 32 ounces. And then if you added the neoprene case, that added an extra 2 ounces. So in total, the straight angle spotting scope with the neoprene cover weighed 34 ounces, and the angled spotting scope with the neoprene cover weighed 33 ounces. Overall, as you can see, we looked at the specs, and these are lightweight, ultra compact spotting scopes that are super portable. These spotting scopes are going to be excellent for any backpack hunters looking for something compact and lightweight, or just anyone in need of a lightweight compact spotting scope in general. The next thing I want to talk about is optical performance. The Razor HDs performed as expected for their price point. I feel like for the most part, the images were bright and clear. but there was just something I couldn't pinpoint about these optics when I was looking through the glass. And it took me a long time. I used these for the whole summer, and I also used them during hunting season. And I was just trying to figure out, the image is bright, it's clear, but what's going on here? After looking through them, I finally figured it out. It's basically there's a purple hue, and there's color fringing around the images, and it's a purplish color. It doesn't happen all the time, but most of the time you're going to see it. And for me, it's very noticeable because I'm used to high dollar glass. I use Swaros, and that just kind of bugged me a little bit. It's not a total deal breaker, especially if you're on a budget. And honestly, if you've never used high dollar glass, you probably won't notice it, but I definitely wanted to bring that up. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the edge to edge clarity. There is no edge to edge clarity in these optics. It's a very clear center, and then as you move towards the edges, you're going to notice distortion. So I just wanted to bring that up as well because I thought that was pretty noticeable. But for most people who are just using this to glass and, pick out a target after spotting it with their binoculars, maybe they just want to check it out and make sure it's a legal buck, or make sure that, that is an animal out in the distance that they're seeing maybe a couple miles away. This is going to do the trick. I found that, these optics work great at anything, over a mile. You can totally see and get a pretty clear image, and also determine if it's a legal buck or bull or anything that you're trying to harvest. Are going to be great for that. One thing that really impressed me about these optics was the overall build quality. Now, usually with Vortex, it's hit and miss because their price range so much. So like you can have like a $150 optic all the way up to a $2,000 optic, maybe even more. I'm not sure now. I know their scopes can cost a lot, but one thing I found is their build quality is usually it's either really good or it's really crappy, and you got to send it in. And with these, I feel like the rubber armor was really good. It's made nicely. It feels good in your hands. When it's wet, it's still easy to handle. You can pick it up and not worry about it slipping. And then also you can drop it, obviously, and pick it back up, and you're not going to have any scratches or dings on the actual body. And then the focus wheel is rubberized, and then also the magnification wheel is rubberized. And then the twist eye cups are nice, and they have adjustments to them. So when you twist it up, you can actually adjust it. I think there's two different adjustments, and I really like that feature as well. I think that's kind of like a higher end feature that you see on Swaros. And yeah, I was just really impressed with the overall build quality. Also, I really liked the fact that they provided an Arca plate. I know Swaro didn't do that. I ended up using my Peak Design everyday tripod, and I had to use one of their adapters for my Swaro, which worked out great because I also use that for my cameras. For this, I just have a built-in Arca plate already on the spotting scope, and I really appreciate that because I use Arca for everything, my hunting rifle, my cameras. And so I'm just able to set that on the tripod, and it clicks right in, and I just lock it down. Same with this one. I can just adjust it and put it in the tripod and lock down the tripod head, and then everything fits really nicely. And so I really appreciated that they added Arca to the spotting scopes because I just think it's kind of a nice feature. It's more of a high-end feature that they actually, you know, provided with this optic, and I really like that. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and it's something you probably saw earlier, this thing just fell off, and it feels like it locks in. I'll push it back in. You can even hear it pop. Like it's supposed to lock, right? Well, then you just go give it a couple taps, and it falls off. So don't count on the objective lens cover to protect your spotting scope. It's going to fall off in your pack, and definitely did. So just don't pack this where it could get scratched. A lot of people don't even pack these anyway, but I do because I don't like dirt and dust in my lenses. I don't like to have to clean them all the time. So I like these to fit and be tight, and they just weren't tight on either of these. Actually, this one feels like it's actually pretty tight, but this one is tighter. So I don't know. Maybe each one is different. It's a quality control thing. Obviously, with Vortex, they're made in China. So this one doesn't fit. This one fits a little better. I didn't have any problems with the ocular lens cap. That one seems to fit very well, but if I'm not going to have this on, I'm not going to put that on. Lastly, I also wanted to just talk about the Vortex VIP warranty. Now, VIP warranty is great. It's awesome. I've never had an issue with it. You can literally run these optics over. You can throw them off a cliff. You can go pick them up, and you can send them into Vortex, and they'll fix them hassle free. They're great. But with that comes a caveat because build quality on Vortex is never that great. I've never owned a Vortex optic that I haven't had to send in for something. So that's just something I wanted to mention because it's something to consider. Yes, the VIP warranty is awesome. And as far as resale value, they do great because of that. People have no problem buying Vortex because they know they can send them in and they'll fix them. But they literally fall apart. I swear, I was literally at the range with my buddy. He had a Vortex scope and we were shooting and his reticle fell apart inside the optic. He had to send it in. I've watched his spotting scope break 3 times. I've had one of their scopes on my rifle. I bumped it and I missed a deer by like 3 feet. I've never used one again. But as far as their, binoculars or spotting scopes go, I would recommend them just because of the warranty and the price. I mean, you don't have to pay a lot for these optics a lot of times. They do have some higher end optics, but no matter what, they're going to fix something if it breaks. So that's pretty cool, and a lot of people like that. Lastly, as far as coatings go, they do have Vortex XR lens coatings, which are supposed to give them extra clarity and that HD quality. They also have the Armor Tech coating to protect them from scratches, like I mentioned earlier. And then they're also Aragon filled and purged, and then also O-ring sealed. So they're fog proof, waterproof, weatherproof. Never had any issues with water damage on these. They seem to hold up pretty well. Okay, so we talked about the build quality. Let's go ahead and talk about the ergonomics and the focus wheel. Ergonomically, these are awesome. I mean, I feel like they're pretty similar to the Swarovski ATC and STC. They got the same feel, and then they just fit well in your hands, and they are small and compact, and so they fit well in the pack. Typically, I like to use a straight angled spotting scope just because you don't have to deal with the angle and trying to fit that in a side pocket of your pack. With the smaller scope, it's not as big of a deal, but I still prefer the straight scope for that. I don't know the scope sexuality, but I'm assuming it's straight. No, I'm just kidding. It's just what they call it, the straight spotting scope, and then this is the angled spotting scope. So, with that being said, I didn't really care for the focus wheel. Vortex says that the helical focus wheel is supposed to be smooth. I've used it for about a year now, so it has gotten more smooth, but when I first got this, it was really stiff. And I feel like it's still pretty stiff. I do like that they added these little grips right here, so it allows you to turn the focus wheel a lot easier. That was a nice little added touch. On the magnification wheel, though, it is still really stiff. And I don't like that because when you're kind of zooming in on something from far away, it just gives you a lot of shake, especially when you're digiscoping. So I didn't really care for the magnification knob, and like I said, the focus wheel is stiff too, but this has loosened up a little bit. And on the, I would keep wanting to say ATC and STC, but on the angled spotting scope for Vortex, it's even more stiff. So I don't know why they're different on stiffness. I guess it's just kind of like a quality control thing, and the fact that they're made in China maybe has something to do with it. But definitely they have different stiffnesses, and this one has um, not been as worked as much as that one, so that could be part of it. But I could see over time maybe this will, you know, get looser and kind of be easier to turn. But as of right now, I've used it for a year and it's still pretty stiff. And then I know I've already touched on this, I think a couple times now, but as far as packability and usability, I think, it being 30, what did I say, 31 ounces and 32 ounces without the neoprene case, I think these are pretty light. It's lighter than the ATC and the STC. I haven't tried the new Koa out, so I couldn't tell you about that, but hopefully I will down the road and we'll be able to compare them. But honestly, I wouldn't say that this is comparable to either the Koa or the Swarovski just because of glass quality and overall build quality. I mean, this is a third of the price of a Swarovski ATC or STC, and the Koa is right up there. I think Koas are 2,200. So you really can't compare those apples to apples. But as far as a budget spotting scope, I feel like these are kind of a mid-tier spotting scope. They're not going to break the bank, but they're $1,000 still isn't cheap. So I think they're great for their size and they're very easy to pack. So as far as packability, I think these are awesome. Okay, so let's wrap this up with pros and cons. First, we'll talk about the pros. As I mentioned earlier, these are one of the lightest compact scopes on the market. Talking about Swarovski, they beat Swarovski by at least 4 or 5 ounces. Koa, I haven't measured out in person yet, but I think they beat Koa by a couple ounces as well. The other thing I like is the overall size. As I mentioned before, this is 11.1 inches and this is 10.4. They're very comparable to the Swarovski as far as size. However, I do like how they included the Arca plate. I think that's a major pro. Saves you some money, and then also it's built in, so it just creates more stability. You don't have to worry about that coming loose on you and having to tighten it out in the field. And then overall, I'd say the build quality of the rubber armor and just like the rubberized coatings on this are pretty awesome. And honestly, as far as the optics themselves go, they're scratch resistant, they're water resistant, it's Aragon filled, so it keeps all the moisture out of the inside of the optic. And I've never had any issues with, rain getting inside the optic or there being any moisture. So everything stayed clear. And then also another pro would be the VIP warranty. I would say that with the VIP warranty, you literally could do anything you want with these and send them in, and they would take care of you. So that's a pretty hard warranty to beat. It gives a lot of people peace of mind, and I think that's a major pro to these optics. Another thing, as far as a pro, would be resale value. Swarovski, obviously, I never have a problem reselling; those sell really quick. And then as far as Vortex, everyone's really happy with that lifetime warranty. So you put these on Facebook Marketplace. I bought this for about $1,000. I bet you I could sell it for probably 750, which I'm probably going to sell both of these because I have my ATC and my STC. Actually, I sold my ATC, so I have my STC now, and I freaking love it, and it's just awesome. I love the clarity and the sharpness, and obviously the edge-to-edge clarity is awesome on it too. Now, let's talk about cons. I mentioned one of the major cons for me was the focus wheel and the magnification wheel. They're just very stiff, and I didn't really care for that. Another con would be these cheap objective covers. They don't really fit well and they fall off. And I think they just could have done a little bit of a better job on that. And then the other thing that I didn't like was the edge to edge clarity. I thought that, as you move to the edges, you really notice a difference and you can see kind of that distortion in the edges. So you don't have true edge to edge clarity with this, which is also kind of, like I said, to be expected with the price point. And then one thing I was really surprised about that I thought was a major con was the purple hue. I couldn't get over that, and it just really bugged me. And like I said, if you've never used like a alpha glass, like a Swaro, you might not even notice it. But for me, I just really didn't like that purple around the edges of the image, and I I didn't care for it. So yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Overall, I feel like the Vortex Razor HD 13 to 39 by 56 is an excellent compact spotting scope, and it's a general performing spotting scope for people who have more of a budget and do not want to spend money on a premium optic. I feel like it fits a need for a lot of people, and its lifetime unconditional warranty makes it an excellent choice for most, especially for backpack hunters who are going to be dinging it around and throwing their packs around and possibly dropping it out in the field. It's a perfect option for you. However, if you're concerned about color fringing and you're concerned about the edge to edge clarity, this might not be the scope for you. There are other scopes out there that will give you a sharper image and probably be better for digiscoping overall. If you're just wanting a scope where you spot something and you want to take a closer look at it to make sure it's legal, I think this is the perfect scope for that. Now, this is just my opinion. I would highly encourage you to go look at other YouTube videos and read some reviews and try to find other YouTubers that show you kind of examples of that purple fringing or just give you accurate experience of what these optics are like out in the field, and then obviously the overall clarity. And honestly, go try these out in person. Go rent them for someone and take them out for the day, or borrow them from a buddy. or going to Sportsman's and they'll let you go outside and look at them, but that's not really going to do you any justice. You need to actually use these, so try to borrow one. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay connected to the wild. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel for more outdoor gear reviews and adventures. You can also follow me on any of the woke media, social media outlets. I'd love to have you follow me and keep connected. Also, if you want to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback or hear what you're using for a spotting scope these days. And in general, just have a conversation with you. Once again, my name is Chris with Ignited by Nature, and until next time, guys and gals.